everybody. And I guess it's an early evening on the East Coast, and we've got some people from the West Coast, so it's early afternoon. But don't worry, we're not looking as long as it's after, well, I don't even care if it's after 12 or not. I always have a glass of wine. I did this with somebody from, we did Beck Hardy's from Australia, and I was having a glass of wine at 7:30 in the morning. So we'll give a few minutes for people to come in before I tell my stupid joke, and then we can get going. We've got Devin on the West Coast there waiting, and thank you, Devin, for joining us. And we'll just have a sip while we're waiting.
Yeah, Michael, sometimes I do East Coast, general sales meetings for our wholesale channel. And oftentimes they are doing these at like 5:30 in the morning for me. So I appreciate this appropriate time for me to actually get some tastes in. Yeah,
no, that's good. It's always a problem when we're doing Europe. If we're trying to do like a cinq set, it's like after work. It's upwards of 11, 12 o'clock midnight in there. Although Europeans, they just start their evenings at midnight, don't they?
Exactly right.
I can't keep up at my age anymore, but but you're a young guy, you'd be able to do that. You probably go clubbing down there in the Russian River, right?
Not since the kids. Not since the kids. It's I'm much more. I would say you would find me drinking at 11 o'clock in the morning before 11 o'clock at night these days.
May I borrow that?
Yeah.
That's good. I like that. All right, everybody. Well, we've got a few people in, and we'll let them in. Kim Chen is running the board for us today. Thank you, Kim Chen from Montreal, Canada. And I'm here in Kitchener, Ontario. It's a beautiful day here. I'm really pleased. Like we're September. This is considered fall, but it's still summer weather. So we've got some summer sippers going on, and I've got some hook and ladder in my glass. So it's a really good thing. So here goes the dumb joke. I don't know how many of you are familiar with my jokes that I start with, but I get a good groan. It doesn't matter if the glass is half full or half empty. There's always more room for more wine. That's not bad, eh, Kim Chen? Yeah, okay. Well, so without further ado, because we've got an awful lot of wine to try over the next 45 minutes to an hour. From Hook and Ladder, we've got Devin joining us, and this is the second year we've been doing this. I can't believe I've been doing this long enough that I've started seeing you guys a second round. So thanks for doing this with us again. It's always a lot of fun with you. And I'm just going to let you introduce yourself and the winery, and let's talk about wine. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you for having us. Thank you for having me. Year two. Been working with the Opimian for a long time, so kind of an established wine through your channel, and we're really lucky to be so. This is, of course, the only way that you find us in Canada. And that's pretty special, and it's great for me to be able to talk a little bit about the winery and deliver some wines that we're really passionate about. Certainly that I'm really passionate about. A little self bio well, I've been with this winery for about 14 years. I did start in the cellar, but I think I talked a little too much for a productive worker when it comes to the production side of wine. And so they put me in the tasting room, and the rest is history. I've gotten a lot of opportunity here. Now I run all the sales and marketing, and I couldn't be happier working with the product that we have, the family, of course, our history, just to, I think, get everybody back up to speed if they need that. Hook and Ladder started by a former firefighter. This firefighter also is an iconic vintner in Russian River Valley. His name is Cecil Deloach. He started Deloach Wines back in 1975. Like in Canada, and I think especially also on the West Coast in Canada, things are not cheap in real estate down here. And when Cecil got into this, he bought 24.5 acres of planted Zinfandel, a 3-bedroom house, and he spent a little under 55 grand for it. Now, that's a lot of money in 1970, but it really does show you, where he was as far as being on the ground floor. I'm actually a history major, and I love kind of wine history and California history. And of course, you can go back into late 1700s and see the documentation, Spanish missions, Russian settlements that are nearby, hence the Russian River Valley, that definitely document what this region is and can be in regards to growing grapes. But I would really make a strong argument that the development of our industry largely is post-World War II, and maybe even more so in Sonoma County. Napa, our neighbors, had certainly made maybe more of a stronghold in a marketing sense, and we're certainly making more and more inroads into getting recognition both nationally and worldwide. But in 1970, for Cecil to buy this acreage, he was really, in pun intended, it was ripe for the picking, and he was really at the ground floor. So it is a different time. I don't think many firefighters, first of all, they've been working too hard in California, but I don't think any firefighters these days could turn in a hobby vineyard and start a iconic winery like Cecil did. He started Deloach Winery in 1975. And that rose to some amazing success, and he ended up selling it to a large French company that still owns a couple of other labels here in California, and that was in 2003. That gave way to Cecil and his grandson Jason creating a new project, and that's really when we see the first vintages of Hook and Ladder Vineyards and Winery, with this tribute being to Cecil's time as a firefighter on the back of a hook and ladder. So his grandson, Jason, our head winemaker, I've been working with since, 2007. And he really, I would say in some ways, it kind of skipped a generation in the passion of actually winemaking and the viticultural side. And Jason is nothing if not very passionate about what he does. Also very organized. I would say that my desk a little, you're seeing it probably a little more scattered than his fastidious nature. So, there is a really great history that this family holds in the Russian River Valley, and what brings us to, this point today. And what gives us what I think Michael touched on, a lot of range in our varietals. The offerings that we have today is really extensive. And it's an amazing thing for us to have, these microclimates and the amazing soil and vineyard locations to make so many different varietals with such a high caliber. So I'll talk more on that and talk about what the Russian River Valley is all about. And a lot of our, kind of first offerings that I go through will really be focused on Russian River Valley and the valley I'm sitting in today. However, as we get into some of our bolder reds and especially the Bordeaux varietals, that's when we're going to get into a really special little sub-appellation called Chalk Hill. And Chalk Hill is going to be where I think we set ourselves apart in an ability to just make an incredible range of quality wine. So I've got as many glasses of wine in front of me as I've seen in a while. This is like back to the college days. I don't know if somebody's going to throw like a ping pong ball in one of them. I don't know, but
I've got a cork. I could try it.
Yeah, there you go, Michael. But I'm gonna sip on them and go through them. We're super lucky that Jane goes through these, and let me tell you that it's not a guarantee. And I know your folks probably know this, but one of the things I respect so much about your offerings is that we have to submit the wine. Right? We have to submit the wine, get them tasted, get them qualified, and then you have a sommelier palate that is going to be able to not only deliver their notes, but also really, really ensure the quality of the offering. And that's why we are not only so proud, even if we got one bottle of wine in the Opimian, but to have as many as we have. And I really want to stress that is a mark of pride. Jason's met Jane and is very, very happy that we've got so many of his wines that he's passionate about on display today. So
members will notice this is we've upped the hook and ladder game for sure this year. We've got 12 SKUs fully, and it's remarkable. That's almost double what we had for you guys last year, and that's just goes to show again, I think, Jason's passion for the winemaking, and just that you've been excellent partners, and we really appreciate that, and we love being your distribution network in Canada. It's fantastic. So
yeah, only place to find it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we appreciate that too. So I'm going to start with something, festive and bright. And, I think, again, Jane mentioned that she likens this to French champagnes, which is about as high a mark as you can get for somebody making sparkling wine in California. We're going to start with this beautiful label here. Got our little ampersand and the bubbles going up at there. Really fun label that we designed just 2 years ago. That was the first time we made this wine. This is 89% Pinot Noir and 11% Pinot Meunier. It drinks with just a lot of bright strawberry, peach notes. This is my favorite type. We were just talking about, you'll catch me drinking at 11 o'clock in the morning, more so than 11 o'clock at night now with 2 kids. But I would certainly say this is the type of wine that I love to get started on a relaxing brunch day, right? This is a perfect way to kind of, start a Sunday off. But it's also very, very festive as we move into the holiday seasons. It's a perfect Thanksgiving wine. Now, I know you guys have Thanksgiving at a little different date than we have.
Yeah, it's mid-October.
That's right. Yeah. So it's coming right up.
It is. It is.
So we want to make sure that you've got this landed to you, hopefully in that time. Yeah. If not, then of course it will come into the next holidays. But right. Hey, there you go. I hope that people are proud of me that my knowledge here in the U.S. was to know that there is a different Thanksgiving Day in Canada.
It's one of the first Americans who's ever said that to me.
All right. Yeah, fantastic.
So we get to celebrate twice. We celebrate our own, and then we celebrate with you.
I always knew that my passion for Canadian culture was really something that is just really intrinsic to who I am. Celebrate as many times as you can, right?
Exactly right.
That's right.
We celebrate every day.
That's right. So I do think that this is the perfect type of bubbles to really enjoy yourself into the holiday season, but also something that you can absolutely hold on to, and as things warm up, be a perfect little wine for a daytime backyard party, things like that. So really, really excited to have this. Again, Michael wants me to let you know there's a couple of wines that are like this today, and I'll mention them on every one. We have never exported this wine. In fact, we have never used a distribution channel domestically for this wine. This is a wine club and direct-to-consumer wine only that we sell only through the tasting room and through our sparkling club. So this is an allocation that is quite special in the ranks of what we have exposed to anyone else that is not in our wine club or coming to see us on a daily basis.
We really appreciate that, and I'm absolutely getting a case. I mean, everybody knows I'm a wine guy when they come to my house, right? But it's always cool to be able to show them a wine and serve them a wine that's just never been out of the US before, right? Like, it's amazing. Like, just
yeah, we when we talked about doing this offering and submitting some wines, I had some fun with it. I mean, that was one of the things I didn't worry as much about, our case production, and said, hey, this is something that we can allocate. We can allocate a number. You're good enough to let us do that and put some limits to things. And in that way, we were really able to expand some things and show you guys some wines that just aren't going to make it out of our own backyard 99.99% of the time, right?
Yeah.
So it's very exciting to have this wine out here for you.
Very cool. And I'm not going to, I'm going to put you on the spot. I was going to say, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I am. Were you getting the crushed strawberries and the earthy fruit on the palate on the sparkling that you just had? Like that, certainly, I think that's a really interesting tasting note.
Crushed strawberries, earthy fruit, again, a little bit of that kind of stone fruit, a little peach. This is exactly, I mean, reading what Jane has to say about this wine, it's right in tune with a lot of our notes and what we will be delivering to people that come out here and celebrate with us. So that's absolutely spot on.
Super. All right. Looks like you got another rosé there.
Yeah, I like to move it from sparkling into the still, right? So we've got our 100% Pinot Noir, and here you are with a rosé that, again, I think that Jane mentions we have a little strawberry, earthy strawberry note, even some mentholated characteristics. This is a wine that I certainly would say, with the acidity that it holds, is perfectly balanced, right? You don't get any of this over the top kind of viscosity or sugary note to it. It is dry. It has a lot of fruit forward nature. However, the acidity is there to balance it. One of the key things that we do to really accentuate, and as she talks about this wine aromatically, kind of coming off maybe a little bit leaner, but then just having a voluptuous nature to the palate itself. This is the type of wine that's exactly what Jason's going for. He does this as a saignée, which is a tank bleed style of rosé. So after about 48 hours of skin contact, we will actually just look at this color and bleed the juice right off of our fermenting Pinot tanks that are actually making red Pinot Noir, right? So what does that mean? Well, typically with rosés, oftentimes you're going to get a little earlier pick. So that minerality and that kind of light, airy feeling can be a bit more of what you're going to get out of that. Whereas this definitely has more accentuated fruit qualities while still staying very bright and refreshing. So that's important. It's a 6-week cold ferment, all stainless steel. And it certainly is the type of wine that, again, I will engage all year around. I think Canadians are a little more privy to the fact that rosé is a year-around wine. We've been having to educate folks in the United States for a long, long time, probably since the white Zinfandel craze of the 80s and 90s, and that type of rosé is just not what we're making these days, right? No. But again, this is perfect for the holidays. I always have this pairing with things like, you know, turkeys and hams and glazes. A great way to kind of start the meal and then move on and progress into the Pinots and eventually, you know, finish off with a Zinfandel or something, you know, quite a bit heavier. So this is the type of rosé that I will engage with, you know, nearly every weekend if I'm permitted to.
And before noon, that 11 to noon spot, that's... No, I'll tell you, here in Canada, we're very much going the same route, is that rosés have really caught on, and it's not that white Zinfandel kind of rosé. It's this drier, may I say, quality. That it's a much higher quality. So I'm looking. I don't know what I'm going to do, Devin. I'm going to have to order all 12, I guess. I just darn.
Yes, there you go, Michael. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I was lucky enough to spend in my early 20s, about a little over 6 months in France. And I was shocked when I came back from France, being that I was really only 21. So I was still quite a bit of a novice in wine. But I was really shocked to see, once I got in the wine industry, that rosé kind of did not hold the same prestige that it does in French culture. The reality was that people were drinking rosé every day. I'm pretty sure, you can Google me on this, but I'm pretty sure to this day that still in France, it's close to 1 in 3 bottles that are purchased are rosé. And I know if you're in Provence, it's well over 88% of the wines that are produced there. So it was very interesting for me to see that there was this stigma to pink wine in the United States. And luckily, that has changed. I would say it really started to turn a corner in about 2007, 2008. I will give some credit to millennials. Yes, I will actually give a lot of credit to millennials when it comes to rosé, because they did start really pushing a lifestyle pairing, right? This was less of a food pairing and more of a lifestyle pairing, where you started to see, a lot more social media pushing rosé, and it's had a profound impact on our sales out here.
No, that's great. Yeah, I look forward to trying it.
Fantastic. We're going to move to the Sauvignon Blanc from here. Another wine that has never been out of the country. This is a single vineyard Sauvignon Blanc, right? Comes from our Olivet Ranch. I am right here on the Olivet Ranch. We are doing a bunch of business outside, or else I'd be in a more romantic setting. So I've got you in my office today. But this is our home vineyard. It's about a 4.5 acre piece of property. So not a lot of wine is made from this vineyard, but every year, I think what Jason goes for here is just maybe a little bit different than what a lot of the store-bought will say, you know, the kind of more New Zealand styles, which are super lovely, but a lot of that acid just shows up very early in the palate. You get a lot more of that kind of grapefruit and herbaceous note, whereas Jason really wants to develop some of that fruit. I know that there's, you know, that mineral freshness that I think Jane, you know, marks in her notes, and that's really, really important to this Sauvignon Blanc. So, you know, lemongrasses and melon characteristics that can dominate the perfume, the aromatics of this wine. The truth of the matter is it's still incredibly refreshing, right? There is a little bit of neutral oak aging on this, and that's important too. I think that obviously that's not going to impart a real heavy flavor. At the same time, it does just maybe give a little bit of curve to some of the sharpness that Sauvignon Blanc brings to the table. For me, this
Can you
is
explain neutral oak to us, would you please?
Yeah, essentially we'll call neutral oak, you know, used oak for three years, maybe two vintages, right? So after 1 year, I mean, you've got your new oak. After 1 year, we'll call it a second year, because oftentimes if we're only putting in wine and barrel for 1 year, you will still get some imparted flavor from the stave, from the toast. Certainly even, you know, the wood itself can offer some tannic value. So these are the types of things that newer oak is going to really accentuate, and oftentimes to really up the level of complexity. However, there's many wines that we don't really want that type of influence, right? Sauvignon Blanc being one of them. But a little neutral oak aging can just add a little bit of depth, just a bit more mid-palate, kind of almost like creamy weight, and yet still really keep the intrinsic value to what Sauvignon Blanc should be about in a flavor profile sense and in an acidity sense. So it's not going through secondary fermentation. You're not getting some of those more weighty notes that you would get from our next offering, which is going to be Chardonnay. However, it is a stylistic approach that I would say that Jason's very passionate about, to kind of just set himself a little bit apart and add more flavor and complexity and textural quality to our Sauvignon Blanc.
Great. Cheers. So, and we've got Valley asking, he loves the glasses. I think we got asked this last year, and I assume you sell them at the winery if somebody's down there in the tasting room.
Absolutely, yeah. Maybe we should put these in the offering next year, Michael.
I think that's I think we even thought about that last year, and I was still, well, I'm still very busy, but that's I'm going to make a note to myself, and I think that's a great idea. We've got a gift shop and we can put them there. And Valley does say that he or she, I'm sorry, I don't know what that is, VALLI, that they're in Florida, so they might be able to hook you up that way, hook up with you that way. Yes. Absolutely,
yeah. We can ship out to Florida some glasses or anything like that if you're interested in.
And Valley is a she, so thank you, Valley. Appreciate it. I don't know if that's short for Valerie or anyway. Doesn't. So there you are. You can get those glasses there, and for our Canadian members here, then we absolutely will talk to Devin about offering those next year. You can just throw them on the pallet with the wine, right?
You know, as long as the shipping company is not too brutal with them, yes. We try and use some pretty I think I would say effective shipping companies that certainly don't beat things up. So yes, I think we could figure that out. You know, Stozel's the producer of the glass. It's an acorn glass. I think for the fact that we do have as many wines as we have and offer, when you come to a tasting here, it's really not effective for us to do, you know, a different stemmed glass to every offering that we have. So this is a really high performance glass if you're somebody that does drink a range of different varietals and still just wants more that's kind of you know, your everyday glass. And then of course, you know, a lot of people just really like our little ampersand.
Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, it really is.
And
I love it on
people that
on
know
the
us,
labels.
they know that that's ours. Yeah.
Yeah. No, very cool. All right, what you got?
Next up is Chardonnay. So this has been something that we've been offering every single year. I would certainly tell you that the 2020 obviously vintage did come with challenges, and that was one thing that I think Kim Tien wanted me to just mention is some of the honesty of what is going on here, and we have many triumphs and many reasons why we both live here and we grow grapes here, and I will say that 2020 obviously for the globe had challenges, but certainly for a growing season also ended up with a good amount of challenges with some really intense smoke and fire. We were lucky that for the most part our areas were not really impacted. That being said, we took only about 25% of our red production average. So the reality to smoke taint and these types of things is that compound really it rests in the skins, and so if you're seeing anything that is early affected in a kind of sensory sense, and then or you've sent out to labs for it, it's really the red wines that you're going to have to kind of worry about the most. So we were lucky on our Chardonnay, our Sauvignon Blanc. A lot of that stuff came in early, and then the other big benefit is that it goes straight to press, right? There's no skin contact that's going to really have any lingering negative effect. However, you will see, and boy, we're lucky we have a good relationship, because in 2020 we just don't have as much wine. So when that finally comes to pass, I'll make sure that you're still getting your allotment. But we were much more selective in our red wines. So, those challenges are real. We've had to face them, and we'll continue to really hope that this growing season, which has been just pretty idyllic in the sense of Russian River Valley, these cool kind of mornings and cooling off at nights, warm days, and evening ripening for Chardonnay and Pinot Noir specifically. It's all come to fruition this year. But this 2020 Chardonnay, I think oftentimes is a favorite of Jane's. I know that it's a wine she fell in love with early on when she was tasting some of Jason's wine. And this is so indicative of what Russian River Valley can be in a balanced approach, right? I love a good, butter bomb. That's delightful as well. But I think what we really want to make is something that does show a little more of that lemon zest, that kind of curdy weight in the mid palate, still some hints of minerality. The French barrel program that we use here is really not very heavy. It's about 20%. So again, the rest is going to be neutral French oak. And only 20% new oak, and 8 to 9 months is about the tops that we go on our estate Chardonnay. So this is that just wonderful lemon zest to curd and a little bit salted toffee on the finish. This is the type of wine that for me just brings so much interest to the palate, and this is why we are doing this in a magnum format as well. First time we're offering magnums in the Opimian, and this is the type of wine that should be in a magnum. Although Michael did say that it was interesting seeing a white wine in a magnum. Yeah, it's very unusual in my opinion, and I love what you said about that it has so much weight when you get to a party with it. That you are the top dog when you go to a party with a magnum. There's no question about that. But it's the truth. I've seen it happen where somebody brings actually more volume, right? They brought 3 bottles, but I brought the magnum, and everybody talks about the person that brought the magnum. It wasn't the three bottles get lost in the shuffle in the cooler. They're lost on the counter. But that magnum, when you bring a magnum to the party, people remember.
Yeah, true story. I've got a wine cellar in the basement with 640 holes, and I can't put any magnums there. I do have this one space, so I've ordered a custom piece to set in so that I can do several magnums. I'll be able to put in 24 magnums because I'm really enjoying the format. Really like the way that it does. Like you were saying, with this one, it's not about the ageability of this wine, but when you put a red in a magnum, you just get that soft aging. It takes a little longer, but it's worth the wait, right?
100%. And it sounds like you're the kind of house that I need to visit when I'm.
Yes, you are. The door is always open to you, sir.
Yeah, this sounds like the the kind of house that I could have some fun at. So,
Well, and I found my dream job in retirement because this is just, I love it.
You deserve it. Hopefully one of these days I want to do something like this live. I want to get out and do this live for Opimian.
And you know what, like we'll probably be doing California this same time next year, and maybe we can make that work. That in the early fall next year you can be up here, and we can take you across the country.
Oh, I would absolutely adore that.
That'd be great.
See the sights and drink some good wine. So that's what I'm all about. So we're going to move on into the 2019 Pinot Noir. Of course, when you are in Russian River Valley, this is king at this point. This is our #1 produced varietal out of the valley, and #1 produced varietal for us here at Hook and Ladder. Since Russian River Valley, as I said, gets a lot of those, cool mornings and fog layers and cooling down at night, it gives a long and even ripening period that accentuates more fruit quality to Pinot Noir than about any other region in the world. And I really want to stress that we get such a depth and intensity from our fruit. So you'll get, of course, that little, really bright cherry note. And I think that Jane kind of mentions that, this little tart cherry, little vanilla qualities, and certainly a really kind of supple and restrained mouthfeel. So even though there's this density of fruit and really great fruit, it's just silky smooth. And that's what we really, really want out of our Russian River Valley Pinot, is something that screams Russian River Valley. This is not Burgundy, this is Russian River Valley, and yet it still holds a very important part in most Pinot lovers' lexicon, because it just is unlike many other regions. So we absolutely think the world of this wine. It's the type of wine that is your barometer on whether you're going to succeed as a winery in Russian River Valley. If you don't make good Pinot, you're out. So you just won't have longevity, and it's also of course a testament to a winemaker, because Pinot oftentimes is just a more hands-off approach when it comes to the actual winemaking. Again, this is just about 30% new French oak, so it doesn't overpower what we want in a fruit sense, and it's just supple. I mean, perfect wine for nice, I would say, anything from fish to lighter kind of poultries. It even goes well with lean steaks, flank steaks, things like that.
Yeah, and our food writers put it with the duck confit, that classic Pinot.
Duck confit would be the perfect pairing. Absolutely, yeah. This is absolutely perfect with something like that.
My mouth's watering again, and we will say that one too is available in Magnum. Yeah, that's
right. Available in Magnum. Exactly. Yeah. So very exciting to see a larger format for that wine. So from here, we're going to go on and do. Usually, Kim Tian, you can tell me if I'm wrong here. Usually, this is typically our most popular offering when it comes to the Opimian offering every year. So here we are. This is the Tillerman Red Blend, and we are moving into Chalk Hill here. As I mentioned before, really, really important for us to have this piece of property up in Chalk Hill, with nearly 100 acres planted up there. It is our biggest piece of property, and it's what sets us apart into getting some of these higher heat index grapes to where we want them, right? So this is Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Merlot, and Sangiovese. And I think with this, dark fruit complexity, you're really looking at a wine that shows at every level, right? From a dinner party to, drinking while you're cooking and moving that into your meal. We designed this wine for a pleasure and versatility, and that's what I think the performance is all about. So a really high level performance, and one that can be incredibly versatile. So the type of wine that for me is often going to travel with me to family functions, friend parties, and lots of holiday dinners, because it can just move around the table and really perform in everybody's glass.
And you know, it's very rare for us to bring back a vintage, but this 2017 we've offered before, right? That and it's it was that popular, as you said.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I said, you know, this was one of the rare times where I said this is where we're at here. And you all were like, well, it's just that good. So we're going to reoffer this one, and it's the first time that I've ever seen it.
That splash of Sangiovese is very interesting. The 1%. I think that's really cool.
That's what gives us our kind of proprietary spin, if you will, right? Yeah. Otherwise, this would be much more traditional of Bordeaux, or what folks out here would often call kind of Meritage style blends,
right.
And yet that is a percentage that moves around a little bit year to year. It's usually under 10%. But Sangiovese is a fun varietal. We make, a couple of Sangioveses as well, but it is a really fun varietal, and one that you would see I would say in Italy, actually accompanying in kind of these super Tuscans that you see, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Right, exactly. And so if you up that percentage, you may be able to actually kind of, tout it more into a super Tuscan type of at least homage. But yeah, this is a really fun wine.
Yeah, and Kim Chen will tell you that I'm Mr. Bordeaux here at Opimian, so I just love this Bordeaux blend. And I love yours as well. Mine's all gone, so I'm drinking the Station 10. But and we were talking before we started that one of our board members, Twyla, the Tillerman is in her top 10 lifetime, and so she buys it every chance she gets, and she just is so excited and passionate about it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, we want to take care of Twyla. I mean, when she comes out here, make sure I know, because top 10 lifetime, that's right. That's pretty high praise, right? I mean, for us folks that drink a fair amount of wine and love wine as a pursuit in all ways, right? Regionally, varietally, there's so much out there. And so to be in anybody's top 10 is really an honor, and we appreciate that.
No, that's great. And tell me what a Tillerman is.
Oh, of course. Yes. The Tillerman, of course, is the position on the back of a hook and ladder truck. That is the tiller, in this case, in honor of Cecil. He was a tiller man. And that is what the kind of tribute in the name is about, and right in theme with the kind of firefighting history. Of course, as I think you guys tuned in last year, we were very active when it comes to community outreach and endeavors like that. It's one of our core missions when it comes to selling our wine and then giving back to the community. And one of the biggest is, of course, firefighting community, right? So that's a huge directive of ours. It always has been. And clearly, when you see some of these like Station 10, which you still have a little bit of, good on you to keep a little bit of that safe from everybody else. Yes,
that's right.
I don't even have any of that, right?
No. I mean, hey, and what I can tell you, this is the 14.
Lovely. Very nice.
I'm enjoying it very much. I just got goosebumps.
Yes, yeah, that's in honor of his retiring station, right? Yeah. So he retired out of Presidio and Bush. That was Station 10, and he was a tillerman for most of his career as a firefighter. Yeah.
And I'm just going to say that members should Google video Tillerman and see some of the videos about guys flying around in the tiller on some of those hook and ladder trucks. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, oftentimes we get people that reference, Seinfeld. There's a classic Seinfeld episode where Kramer becomes a tiller. It's always a topic of interest, and Cat Stevens. So Tiller is also a nautical reference, I believe, but for us, we're going to talk about it in firefighting terms.
Absolutely.
So from here, we're going to stay in Chalk Hill and move into our Cabernet Sauvignon at 30% new French oak and a little bit of American oak. 20 months of aging here. There's great complexity to this. One thing I will say about our Cabernet Sauvignon is that we really do get that not only kind of dense structure, but more of those blue and blackberry fruits, right? And that is really important to us, that we want to make sure that this doesn't have that overly pyrazine-laden kind of vegetal note, that this is more really core to the fruit. And as a 2018, this is something that you absolutely can age And I can tell you from drinking it right now, it drinks with I mean, a lot more softness than you probably would realize, right? It's not all tannin. It's not just fighting you back. So this is a wine that I really think is fun. Oftentimes when I love a wine, you know, my wife will attest to this. If we really love a wine, or I really love a wine, we're buying a multiple, right? We buy a case, and one of the reasons, it's not just because, boy, I need a case of this wine, I'm going to drink it all next week. It's because I like to see how it matures in different stages, or even take some notes as things go along. And this is the type of wine that I would highly recommend that, to see how it's showing here in the next 5 to 6 months. And then again, to kind of see how it progresses, through a lifetime of cellaring, because Cabernet Sauvignon is really, I mean, when it comes to cellaring, one of the most fun and oftentimes rewarding varietals that you can put down in your collection. So this is a really fun one to watch it develop.
And I don't know if anybody's explained to you what a coup de coeur is, but we choose 4 wines every offering that gets the highest score from our Master of Wine, and this particular wine is one of those coup de coeur. And so we have lots of members who go through that they know. I mean, they know that they can choose any wine in our catalog and it's going to be top quality, right? But these if you make coup de coeur, it's quite a tip of the cap to you for making a wine of that quality. And it does show in the numbers of bottles we sell to members, because it's just so remarkable. It's great wine. That's what I say. Looks like I'm buying 12 cases of yours this year. And a couple extra of the Magnums, I think.
Okay.
Parties are starting up again. I'm going to need a few to take along.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to keep on with another Cabernet Sauvignon. This time on to the 2019 vintage, so a little bit younger, and a single vineyard, little smaller production, right? Barrel selection type of note. And this has just all of those really crushed dark fruits and vanilla qualities. The oak aging on this, again, is at 20 months. Now, Jason does hand select these barrels with a bit more kind of, I would say, scrutiny for what he wants, right? Which is certainly something that brings a bit more weight and tannin to the mouth, but this is definitely the kind of wine that I want to see age, right? I am going to age this. If I were to pair this, I mean, these are the types of wines that maybe I'm looking more into, like a ribeye, a heavier meat.
Yeah, and our food writer said standing rib roast. I think that would be
perfect. Yeah,
right on.
Yeah, this is absolutely the kind of wine that would be perfect for that.
And I would say that there's a drinking window here of 22 to 27, but I would get the sense that this one would go much farther than that. Like you could put this down 10, 15, right? And
100%. Yeah, I think with the acidity and the tannin here, I absolutely think you could forget about this one for a while, right? This could be one of those special surprises that you
put it in the back corner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Be careful with that, though. I have had times where I wasn't doing my due diligence. I didn't have my spreadsheets in order. I wasn't really, going through and cellaring wine properly. And then I find something and I'm really excited about it, and I missed that drinking window. So
yeah. They can get tired.
All right, we've got a couple more fun wines. I'm going to take you on a vertical with the 4 rows here. I'm sorry, I'm moving out of the camera. I have so many wines on my table that I have to actually just move them over.
And I think your left side's getting a little crowded now too.
It is, yes. You've got things stacking up. Yeah, I mean, it's every once in a while I get somebody that walks by my office and I think they're thinking, I want his job.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing, but he seems to have a pretty lucky job there. So from here, we're going to move into the Zinfandel. Zinfandel really does hold a special place in Cecil's heart, right? Because this is what got him started. When I told you, of course, he bought 24 and a half acres and a 3-bedroom house for a ridiculous price. That was Zinfandel. And you know, Zin, although we've traced this back kind of, you know, through Italy and then eventually into Croatia, but it really has made its home and been developed in California. I mean, you can go to other wine regions worldwide, and there are even pretty knowledgeable wine people that really don't know Zinfandel in the form that we know it at all. And I would argue, if there was one like symbol on a flag that you would have for wine history in in California, it would be one of these gnarly old vine Zins, right? And that's exactly what we have going on here. We have two different vineyards that we would definitely qualify as old vine: the 1909 planted Gambogi Ranch and the 1922 planted Marcucci Vineyard. So this is really amazing stuff. I can say, because I'm on the business sense, these cost of goods are not friendly. So you better just be passionate about making the wine, because it is very expensive to make this wine. It's not easy to pick. It's very low yielding, but it holds I think a heritage and a place in the family's heart that they're really just not willing to compromise or give up. So
and the fruit that comes off that wine it's second to none, even if it's not profitable, right? I mean, why you can't not make wine.
You can't recreate it. I think you're spot on in that, right? Yeah. I mean, when it comes to old vine Zinfandel, a mature vineyard at 30 years, which could be making some really great stuff and hitting some peak production and these types of things. But at 80 years, these small clusters, the types of interest that you get when it comes to this type of varietal, it really deserves an old vine approach, right? And this is one thing I will say. You know, we go back to rosé and some of the harm that white Zinfandel did. It does hold a place in actually keeping some of this Zin. Well, I would say that it kept it planted, right? The popularity of Zin was waning at a time. White Zinfandel came into the fold, and many people that now hold old vine Zinfandel vineyards probably would not have kept those, and now they're making some of the best wines in their portfolio out of that. So, you know, there are these kind of, like, you know, backdoor ways where you could thank white Zinfandel for giving you this beautiful, voluptuous red Zinfandel 60 years later, 40 years later, those types of things.
And I have to be careful. You know, I was talking to a master of wine recently on video and mentioned Matus, and not in the most nice way. And you know, I people who like Matus or white Zinfandel, knock yourself out. I think it's fabulous that there's a wine that appeals to you. Just don't make me drink it, right?
Were they trying to defend it?
Yeah, just saying that you know, everybody makes wine because they think they're making a good wine for somebody, and there's somebody who likes it. And like when you think about the how popular white Zinfandel had gotten, obviously there was something to it, right? Like, just because I don't like it doesn't mean it didn't have its place, like, as much as I make fun of it.
No, you're right. I mean, you should always just drink what you like. I think anything else is quite silly. But yeah, I mean, you know what? Sometimes I think, Michael, one of the things that we forget, being so close to fine wine as we are, is that really, in a global sense, it is more niche than we probably know it to be, right? I mean, there are a lot of folks that still walk through the door where the educational process is really an ongoing one, and then getting them into places to respect the type of notes that we're talking about. Because, you know, honestly, I often kind of parallel with, like, my first taste of coffee. I can say, and I was definitely younger than 21, but my first fine wine, especially like a cab or something, I was a little shocked that people drank it, right? I mean, at 15 years old, I was like, well, wait a second, where's the sweetness? You know, what is going on? There's no effervescence. How are you? And then over time, I mean, it truly, for some people, maybe not, but it is an educational, acquired, and a process that can be lifelong. And that's one of the most fun things about wine. So maybe the Matus, what we'll give it credit for, the white Zin, we'll say that it got people's foot in the door to wine,
Yes.
and potentially has kept them moving along their path into recognizing what fine wine is.
Yeah, no, that's true. And there are lots of people close to me say, quite honestly, that they're not just joking, that I've ruined them for inexpensive wine. Because the more good wine you get to try, the less likely you're to go back, right? But
Oh, you're so right with that, right? And it can do a little bit of work on your pocketbook. There's no doubt about that. But it's worth it. I mean, once you get to that point where you don't go back, I mean, there's a reason for it, right? You just can't appreciate anything but a craft, and that I can honestly say is what our winemaker and what our growing team really brings to the table every vintage. And there's nothing more crafted than the final 3 wines that I have all together here, because we, I think very excitingly, offered a vertical. You guys are offering this as a vertical, correct? 3-pack vertical? Yeah.
Sorry, I was taking a sip. Yes, that's exactly right. It's a vertical tasting case. The 15, the 16, and the 17.
Yeah. Four Rose, again, never has left the country, has never been in a distribution channel, even domestically. So Four Rose is a really, really specific project that our winemaker started back in 2012 with Cabernet Franc. And, you know, Cabernet Franc is a really fun wine to work with, but I think it takes a special winemaker to want to make it. There are things that Cabernet Franc can be very temperamental on when you're making it as a standalone or a lead varietal. But when you do it right, boy, does it pay off. And I think you've got a vertical of 3 straight vintages that were pretty darn iconic when it comes to our Four Rose program. 15 was such an ideal vintage for growing. 16, I think you bring maybe a little bit more weight to the table, but you have a really wonderful growing season there. And aromatically, that like Bing cherry and little like Maine blueberries, and it's just interwoven into these, like in 17, I think Jane mentions it, like coffee and coconut, and that barrel program is really what Jason is known for with this Four Rose project. There's a bunch of things that he does in the vineyard. He actually, and this is ROWS, Four Rows, he selects these 4 rows of the vineyard. He canopies a bit different. He certainly crops more intensely. So he's hand selecting, walking through and hand selecting the fruit off of this. We go into small vat, open top fermenters. Everything is hand punched down 5 times a day. And then we extend our maceration. And that time on the skins is what's going to really bring a lot of the color characteristics that are just top notch to this wine. And then of course, a lot of the flavor and the aromatic qualities that you get out of this, which are second to none for a Cabernet Franc. I really, really can't emphasize that enough. If you like Cabernet Franc, I would very much urge you to try these wines. And these were allocated, even though we love Opimian, there was an amount that we put on these. So, don't wait till the last minute on these ones, because
we can't be coming back to you for more, can we? No. And do you mind holding the glass up to the camera there? It just looks like such a rich Cab Franc, right? Like just that just look at the depth there. It's just phenomenal. Yeah. And look at the legs. What is that? Like 14-15%, eh? Yeah. 14 and a half. Yeah.
14.5%. Yeah, it hovers in that 14.5%. But the leanness, the balance of that in that sense, right? You really never get any whiff of the alcohol. It's truly so much more in these deep. I mean, who doesn't like coffee and coconut, right? Yeah. Mixed and interladen with Bing cherry and blueberry. I mean, you every once in a while you'll get, if you've ever walked into a humidor. Michael might have a humidor along with his cellar. I don't know.
I do not smoke. Okay. My wife is a medical officer of health, so that is
okay. All right. Yes, I try to stay away as well. But but if you've ever walked into that kind of smell of this spicy, almost dried tobacco note is really an intoxicating one. The one that is very, very fun to have, and you can get those pick these out of these wines as well. So. Really excited about this offering, really passionate about these wines. These are some of our most exclusive wines, bar none. You will typically see max 6 barrels made of these wines. and as limited as 2 to 4 barrels. So this is special stuff.
It really is. And you mentioned in one of the earlier ones about that vegetal note that some people that in not well made Cab Franc, you can sometimes get that kind of bell pepper. It's not very, very pleasant, right? And what I can assure people is that that's not the case here, that it's well-made Cab Franc is some of the best wine in the world. And yeah, I'm so excited about this one. I'm really curious. I'm wondering when I'm going to want to do this vertical, because I'll do that for my friends. I'll open these 3 together and we'll try them each. And I'm probably going to wait a couple of years though. They're going to come in early 22. So, and I see the drinking window on some of them are 27, 28. So I won't be in any rush to open these, that's for sure. I guess at 1 bottle each, I'm going to have to buy 2 cases.
Yeah, Michael, you're spot on there. I mean, there's no doubt. These are wines that are built to last, and we've made these for collectors. So this is such a fun pack to get the 3 vintages and to do a vertical. And if anybody hasn't ever done a vertical, it's really fun, and to do that with a couple of people that you love, because these are worth people you love. Do not let people drink the 4 rows that you don't love. But that appreciate wine and that you love it. It's such a fun experience to do a vertical like this and to kind of go through it. If you do it blind, even more power to you, right? Where you can try and get distinctions out of these, and then you can always look up vintage notes and see if you're on the right track to what some of the vintage offered. But yeah, this is a cool pack.
No, that's fantastic. Well, thank you. If anybody has any questions, please put them in the chat. I'm happy to provide them. And yes, Kim Chen reminded me, I didn't mention Alberta beef when we were talking about the cabs. And I mean, even these Cab Francs, right, would go wonderfully well with some Alberta beef, absolutely. And if you saw that one with Twyla, I was surprised to find out that a lot of Westerners in Canada don't know much about California. I mean, we get quite a few California wines here in Ontario, but not so much on the West Coast. So I'll tell you, if you haven't tried California wines, Hook and Ladder is the one to try them with. Well, although then there's no going back. Like once you've tasted this quality, then it's where you're going to be for sure. Oh, and Randine is asking why it's called 4 rows. It's literal, isn't it?
Yep, you hit it, literal. Where Jason kind of wanted to see even what maybe more of his. I mean, this guy's as detailed as I've ever met. So what more of his ire to the vineyard could bring to the table, and that's exactly what he does. So he flags these 4 rows pretty early on in growing season, and then watches them develop and uses a couple of different practices. But it's literal. That's 4 rows of the vineyard. That this one in particular is up at Los Amigos Ranch in Chaco.
And then you surprised me in that it sounds to me like it's not always the same 4 rows. Is that right?
Correct.
Isn't that interesting?
It is. It's what makes it, I think, so much more fun in a way, because Jason really takes that time year after year for the selection.
Yeah, isn't that wild? And I mean, and that's the other thing is, as you said, the wines get tasted every year. And so that quality is there. And I know that you're the kind of guys that you're not even going to send us a wine for tasting if it doesn't measure up. So that's a really cool thing. And I think that we as Opimians have become used to knowing that we can trust the wines that are in the catalog. And that's why you've got 12 this year, man. It's we really appreciate it. It's fantastic. And I look forward to meeting you both down there and having you up here. We'll definitely start talking about that. And we got to get some glasses for one of our members here. We'll get that done. And I really, really appreciate you taking the hour with us. It's earlier for you, right? So we're 2 o'clock. We're just coming up on dinner time here. And I'm looking forward to, what am I going to do with this? I don't know. I'm going to have to figure out what to cook for my Station 10.
Oh, all right. Fantastic.
Yeah,
well, I really appreciate it too. Thank you for taking the time. I hope I was able to give a little bit of insight and just a window to the passion that every single person on the team takes to our job every day. We're a small team, and a winery that is really proud to offer the wines to you that we have in the catalog. So I couldn't appreciate you more. And you really put me to the test today because that was a lot of wine.
That was better. Then which one are you going to finish? No,
I'm not finishing any of these.
No,
it's still 2 o'clock. I got to get home.
Get out to the tasting room then. So Kim Chen, thank you for running it today. Really appreciate it. Thank you all the Opimians from across the country who have joined us. It's always a pleasure, and we will see you all next time. Good night, good afternoon, good night, and good evening. Who was it that said that? That was an American broadcaster, I think. So
it was. They made a movie, and I'm blanking on
it.
It.
That's right. No, but there you are. I don't measure up, so I'm not going to say that again. Okay. See you later, everybody. Take care.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.